Sajak on the beat, boy.
What's going on, people? Thank y'all so much for tuning into another episode of 24 Hours on the Ground, man. Today, I have my boy Mr. Wide Up with me, man, from South Side of Houston. Dead End, you heard me? And we're going to get into this interview, find out a little bit more about him, man, as far as the music, how he got started, so on and so forth. Thank you so much for joining me, man. Like I was just telling you, I was listening to some of your music. I'm definitely a fan, man. I feel like you got this very laid-back style, but at the same time, it's crazy because it's still high energy. I can't tell if it's just subject matter or the beat you choosing, man. But it's in a very great space, man. And I like that type of music. I like shit that's different. I like shit that's not out right now. And people that don't sound like everybody, most importantly, man. But let's start from the beginning, man. So where are you originally from?
I'm originally from Houston, Texas.
Houston, Texas, Dead End, Texas, right?
Yes, sir.
So what era did you grow up in? The 80s and 90s?
I grew up in the 80s. I grew up in the 80s, so I had to transition to the 90s. But
so South Side of Houston, Texas, around the 80s, man, you saw a lot of legendary shit then.
Yeah, I was raised under Hawk and Pat. Like I'm from the same neighborhood, so like I literally used to see them. Like even when they first started doing their music, like Hawk knew me more than Pat. Hawk used to watch just play basketball. We used to play basketball at the end of the street. Like I wouldn't even worry about rapping then.
That's crazy. So were you kind of around to see their whole movement evolve and become what it is today?
I honestly say I was. You know,
what was that like, man? Because I know we get glimpses and pieces of SUC and that whole Southside movement, but we've never actually had like a whole movie or like, you know what I'm saying, like a real understanding of what it took for them to be who they are today. What was it like seeing Hawk and Pat go from some guys that you knew around the neighborhood to becoming worldwide stars, man?
I mean, it was good because, you know, everybody want to be proud of somebody from the hood, you know. So, you know, if you making it out of the hood, you made it to everybody. So, like, it won't ever change no perception of it, you know. But it was just like me growing up. It's like I used to like every time I saw them, they was going out of town. They was on the road or they had a show. You know, it's like, man, they doing it, you know. So, you know, just sitting there and watching them evolve into who they are now. You know, rest in peace. But I mean, even they left their mark on everything. You know what I'm saying? Everything they left their mark on, from Hawk. They used a Hawk on Travis Scott on the what's name record, and then, you know, a lot of people sample Pat verses. You know, so it's just like it's good to see the word actually getting to know where. If they don't know, then they go do their research and figure out like who is that sample, and then they figure out that they was actually artists that people sample.
Facts, man. Okay, so who were you raised by?
I read by my grandmother.
Your grandmother. What school did you end up going to? Living in that side of town.
I bounced around. Like I really bounced around between like my grandmother and my mama. Okay. So like I majority of the time I went to school on the southwest side. But then when I finally got stable with my grandmother, I went to school in Third Ward because I went to Yates. I went to Jack Yates in Third Ward, and then.
So, were you rapping in high school?
I just started rapping till like senior year.
Wow.
Senior year, because I saw my freshman year, Lil Flip came up there. And this when he was in HSC. This when they first dropped the HSC album. And then Flip caught my attention because it was like, man, he not rapping like Hawk and Pat and everybody else. Yeah. Flip was rapping totally different. So ninth grade, I was like, boom, I became a Flip fan. Like everything Flip put out, I went got, you know, everything. So senior year, he came back and he had just dropped Underground Legend. Mm-hmm. And so around that time when he did that and I saw he got, I said, man, I think I'm gonna start rapping. And then I just like started writing stuff down, trying to, you know, and then I just took it serious. I didn't start really just take it seriously till freshman year in college.
Word. So growing up in Dead End, man, you got influences like Hawk and Pat, so you know that musical gene is there because of the neighborhood that you're from. You got that bop in your veins. End up going to Yates. Lil Flip kind of inspire you, but you don't really take it serious until after you graduate school and go to college. What college did you attend?
I went to Prairie View.
Prairie View. Man, great place to be, man. Especially if you're doing music or you're in the entertainment industry. A lot of stars came out of Prairie View.
Came out of Prairie View.
Yeah, man. So, what was it like, man? You're a freshman on campus. At this point, you have the ambition and have it in your mind that you're going to be a rapper. How did you get started at Prairie View as far as making your way towards where you are now?
I got started because I was in the band. So I was doing band and doing music. So like I got started, met a couple of dudes on campus, and they started putting me in like talent shows. I got a couple of talent shows and some freestyle competitions and all that. And then I got my first situation. I got picked up by an indie label while I was out there. So then I was back and forth between Prairie View and Baton Rouge a lot. So that was around the time right then when they came at me after hearing me on my people project. The dude wanted to sign me, so I was, I'm freshman in college. You want to sign me? Like, let me give you this money and woo. I'm like, bet, So, but then it's like that's pretty much when it happened. Yeah.
So, what was the indie label you signed to?
It was a Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame. Were they connected to any major labels in terms of distribution or anything like that?
It was a startup label. Like the co-CEO of the label was Mr. Hankey. That was the first producer I actually worked with was Mr. Hankey. So like me and him still cool to this day. But that was like they was the startup. Like the CEO, he had money, so he was putting his money into me, trying to pump out and make some shape. So.
Gotcha. That's pretty crazy, man. So leave from the hood, man. Dead End. If some of y'all not from Houston, but y'all don't know that Dead End is a rougher part of Houston, y'all. Yates is a rougher school in Houston, all right? Go from Yates to Prairie View, which is out in the country, but a very well-known college in this area, in Texas, period. You get with Hall of Fame records, and now you're officially a rapper. Just like that, within a year of thinking about it, you put it into motion and you were assigned to a startup label. What was it like, man, going from just this shit being a dream to actually being in motion? And I'm assuming you were doing shows, getting paid and performing in front of people. What was that like?
Man, it was just like, I'm really doing this, I'm really a rapper, I'm really a rapper now. But I mean, it was cool. I was still young. I didn't know nothing. I didn't know. Everybody go through that when they first come in. They don't know nothing. Yeah. So people telling them like, "We gonna speak for you," So the whole time, just like not saying nothing. I'm learning. I'm watching everything. So I'm just paying attention to everything. So like now it's like, I've already been through all this enough to know what to do and what not to do. So.
Okay. So how many years did you do at Prairie View?
4.
All 4 years. Did you graduate? What kind of degree did you graduate with?
Business management.
Man, that's big, bro. All 4 years at Prairie View, and I'm assuming you were just doing your thing and building your name the whole 4 years.
Like everybody knew me.
Facts. Graduate. Done with Prairie View. Where do you go from there?
I had a little downtime after that labor situation, and it was a little rough, little spat for me. So, I had kind of cut away from the music, but then I didn't, okay. So it was just like, I was just trying to get back on my feet, because I sacrificed so much to do what I was trying to do, and it didn't go the way it was supposed to go, which was probably meant that it wasn't supposed to go that way for me from the start.
Yeah.
So, I had downtime, and it was just like, I got to get my head back in. So it took a minute for me to get back on my feet before I really just decided I was gonna start back, because I had stopped. So, and I got back in. I was like, man, I gotta come hard now. Like, we know what to do. Like, let's just get the music out. That's the so I had, because I went through all the stages. I went through my first record. My first big record was called Put It in the Air. Right. And it was more like a fight song. So like they used to play me in like the Atlanta set, like Crime Mob and Lil Jon. That was when I got played. Then I went through my whole when Party Like a Rockstar came out, tried to make a dance song, tried that. I tried everything trying to find a song. And then I finally found my song. Like, nah, like it's my song. So
one of your biggest joints was Put It in the Air. how did that joint come about? How did you go about getting that that sample on there with Young Jock, and how did you go about getting that whole record put together?
Well, Mr. Hagen, like I said, he was my first producer. Like he used to always make beats. Like I had to put it in the air record for about a year before I even rapped on it. I was just going through my email that he sent me. I said, let me go through some beats Hagen sent me. And I went through and I said, oh. So I called him. I said, man, I like this. Put it in the air record, man. We need to use it. And they was like, go ahead and record on it. So it's like the first version was me, my homeboy Wanderers, and my dog Short Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And then the song started growing. So I ended up going on tour with Lil O. And then we ended up getting Lil O on the record. You know, we got Lil O on the record. So then I was on tour with Lil O, and then like the song was, you know, everywhere. Like I was on both radio stations in rotation out here. And it's like I was only like 20, 22.
Word.
I think I was like 22 at the time. So it's just like everybody knowing my name now. Like, man, every time they see me, what's up, Mr. Put It in the Air? You know what I'm saying? So it's like when you get played everywhere and people knowing your name, but they're not knowing your face, then they finally meet you. It's like, oh, that was you.
Thanks.
So
this was back in like the MySpace. Just so y'all know, this was back in like the MySpace, early Facebook age too. Right? This was before Instagram and everybody was everywhere. So you had to like literally hear the music and then go out to see people to know who they were.
Yeah, you had to go out and then take your record. You know, that's when you had to do that footwork.
Facts. Okay, so Put It in the Air come out, shit go crazy. I think I was just coming into college at this time. We was hearing it everywhere though. One of the biggest joints that you had at that time, and then something goes left with your label. So what happens that leads to you leaving the label?
It wasn't, like I say, it was just people know. I met with a bunch of labels. I met with a bunch of labels because everybody wanted to sign me for Put It in the Air. And you know, a close friend of mine, when we had talked with one of the labels and we asked, you know, what happened, why y'all didn't sign me? He was like, man, it was the people representing you. I had the wrong people representing me because they went in there like the people had to sign me, like you gonna sign him type thing. So I had, like I said, I don't know nothing. I had people speaking for me, you know. So it's just like, nah, I know enough to where, you know, even with my team, you know, I let y'all read over stuff. Then y'all come to me and see what I want to do. Like, what you want to do with this? I had to, you know, some stuff I might not know. My business manager know more than me when it comes to, you know, a lot of the contracts. So I'm just not learning like the record contracts. So I've been studying that right now. But he always helped me. Like he'll be like, this is what this say, but this what we gonna get, because that's too much, you know. But now it's just like I learned so much from that situation by people representing me, you know, and I done had the same representation now for like 7 years. Yeah. So they got to be doing something right if I ain't switched up yet.
Thanks. So that's big, bro. So you leave the label. From there, you mentioned that you kind of took a break. As a fellow artist, especially as someone who started around the same time as you, like you said, you started in high school, I know that when you really in this shit, bro, the music becomes a part of your identity. It becomes a part of who you are. Then you get to a point to where you are now separated from the music. What was that like for you? To be at that peak of constantly being played, doing shows, getting paid, to now I gotta just sit down and think about what's my next move. What was going through your mind emotionally and mentally?
And mentally, it was just like, man, it's gonna be hard. Because I tell everybody, once you stop, it's harder to get back on. You know, you gotta work even hard. People know your name, but the consistency wasn't there. So it's just like, oh, that's why Waddle got a record. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So now it's like, oh, Waddle got a record. People gonna play it. You know, it's the consistency now. So it's just like, I just really the downtime had me just really thinking. Like even when I wasn't doing music, I was still thinking about music. Yeah. You know, it's like I might write something down. Like, let me write this down. Boom. Yeah. You know, I might go record it one day type thing. You know, so but after a while, I started once I got kind of back on my feet, I started trying to get back into that mode. Yeah. I had to get back into that mode. Like, all right, like now I can do this on my own. Now I can make people know me now.
So what was that space filled with as far as financially? You go from being a well-known rapper. A lot of rappers, man, they don't like to work jobs when they stop rapping, man, because it's hard, bro.
Even when Put It in the Air was out, I was still working. I
Yeah.
think well, I was working at IHOP. I was working at IHOP. I was
So you
working at
had a
IHOP.
record spinning and you was working at IHOP.
I was
Yeah,
working
that's
at
gonna be with a
IHOP. Like
motherfucker.
I'm talking about 13-hour shift at IHOP. And people coming in and be like, why do this where you be at? Like, yep, at
Yeah.
IHOP. You know, but like I say, it was just people representing me, but I still wasn't finna, all right, I'm finna give up this. I had just had my son. And so it's just like, nah, I ain't finna just completely not make no money, you know.
Right.
So I had to keep a job.
Facts, man.
But it was just like everybody, there's a lot of people out here that, you know, people don't know that half of the artists got regular jobs.
Good jobs, man.
So if they got regular jobs, people still gotta survive, especially when you're independent.
Yeah.
You can't make money without money. So
Man, that's a fact. So at what year did you decide I took some time to myself, I'm older, I'm more mature, I'm ready to get back into this shit and make my name? What year did you come back into the game?
2012.
2012. What was your first move as far as transitioning back into being a rapper?
I ended up, because the first 2012 was really the time I really started DJing. And my first gig was a strip club. Wow. So me and my cousin used to pass out flyers for the club. Mm-hmm. And so one day we went in there, the owner had fired the DJ. I was like, well, you know, let me DJ. Right. And so from then on, I was DJing. So we went back to the studio, and our studio was around the corner. And I just said, man, you know what we need to do? We need to just we need to make strip club music. And at the time, wasn't nobody worried about strip club music. They were about twerk music. So nobody wasn't talking about the strip club. Everybody wanted to twerk. Right. So he was like, what you talking about? I say, man, you know what we do? We need to make every dance in there their own song. He said, what you mean? I say, like theme music, make them their own song with their name in it. So like every time we get out about 5:30, go back to the studio, be in the studio to about 9:30, 10. He making beats on the right behind me. I'm loading them up, writing the same time I'm listening to the beat, recording, just making different songs for girls. Cause then it was just like, all they gonna do is them songs, I'm gonna give them their songs, so then they gonna take their song wherever they go work somewhere if they ain't a job. And hey, can you play this? This my song. And name was spread like that. Wow. So
that's brilliant, bro.
Yeah, I just stuck with the strip club.
So this is around 2012. Where do you transition from as far as making music for the strip clubs? The name is spreading again. What's the next step? Where do you go from there?
From there, it was just the work. You know, I just not everybody's starting to say, okay, why I'm back out here. Yeah. But then I was DJing so much, people started forgetting like I was still an artist. They just kept me as a DJ. But the people that knew I was an artist knew I was an artist. So I was like, all right, well, right now the rap not making the money because it was just me. All the money coming from DJing. So let me get the name up in the DJing real quick and still kind of do my music. Yeah. So I built my name up in DJing, and you know, I started back working on some new records. I had to come out with, you know, some new records. Yep. You know, I was dropping my project still. And everything. Then, you know, we had dropped Walked In. And Walked In was pretty much my new Put It In the Air. Yeah. And so, you know, because nobody made a record like that. You know, had nobody made a record like that. So it's like, man, you always, even Fat Pimp told me, say, bro, when you drop Put It In There, boy, it was ahead of our time. Like, when nobody in Houston made that record. Like, it was ahead of our time. So it's like, for me making Walked In and dropping Walked In, I was like, man, this my Put It In There all over again. Because everybody was singing Walked In. You know, and I was like, man, I'm doing it again. Okay, we got to keep going. You got to keep that consistency going.
And that's a fact, man, because thinking back, a lot of us did think you were from Atlanta, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because like you said, they were putting you in that ATL set with a lot of those other artists. And that was the music that was coming from, you know, Atlanta. You wasn't really hearing that sound in Houston at that time. So, damn, you were really ahead of your time with that whole wave, man. That shit is true. And that's crazy. If you would have had, like you said, a different type of representation, you would have been miles ahead of the
if I would have dropped Put It In the Air now,
exactly,
it would have been right there. It would have been right there. If I'd have done, people always say, you gonna do another Put It In the Air? I say, I don't know. I could now.
Facts.
All I gotta do
perfect time, man.
All I gotta do is hanky.
And that really leads me to my next question, man, because when you listen to Wait a Minute, it kind of gives me Put It in the Air vibes, but it's just a more mature sound as far as you go. I can hear that you become a more seasoned artist on Wait a Minute. But that do lead me to my next question. So the newest single is Wait a Minute, banger. Video is crazy. If y'all haven't seen it, go check the video out. Y'all go fuck with it. How did you link up with Nitty Beats on that, man? Because you know he's a fucking super producer, bro. Dude is a fucking beast.
Nitty, that's my dog. You know, I'm signed to Nitty. So
okay, yeah. That's we didn't know that. See, we learned something today, right? All right. So how the fuck did you link up with Nitty and get signed to him?
Nitty know my homeboy Digital, who produced Walked In.
Okay.
So we was getting ready to drop the video for Ballin'. And the Digi had put it on his page. Nitty saw it on his page. And he Digi like, hey, who's that on your page? And Digi was like, oh, that's Wide Up. And Nitty was like, yeah, man, I like the sound, man. So, see if you can get him on the phone. I want to talk to him. And woo, woo. So we got on the phone. He was like, man, I want to do this. I want to get you out there. I like your sound, man. I ain't heard nobody from Texas that sound like that.
Right.
And he was like, we're gonna get you out. So we ended up dropping Keep Going January the 1st. We dropped Keep Going January 1st, and then February 11th, I got signed. I got signed February a month later. And so we was pushing Keep Going. So we was in the studio. I had went back to Atlanta to record. We was in the studio. He played me 3 beats. And then, he know me now. So he'll see me. If I write down the name of the beat, I write down. And then if he see me just stay in the phone, I'm writing. So when he played the Wait a Minute beat, I was like, and he saw me writing, and he was like, load the beat up, while the writing, he writing. And he, he Nitty teach me a lot. He teach me a lot. Like, he trusts me, he trusts me too. So it's like he don't like when I go to the studio, he be like, oh, I ain't gotta worry about Wide Up. He played the beat now, and we got the song was done the same day. Like it took me on it like about 15 minutes to write Wait a Minute. And so we got like he trusts me. Like I like the fact because most CEOs like this is what we're doing it this way. That's how we're doing it, But Nitty be like, why what you want to do? And I'd be like, this is how I feel we should do it. Oh, okay. He listen, he take, at the end of the day, he boss man, he got the last say so, but he trusts my judgment on certain things, and I like that. It's the situation I'm in good right now.
That was gonna be my next question, man. So what is it like, man, being signed to such a big name? Because like I said, Nitty Beats is a super producer. Dude been around, been in the game 20 plus years, man, got a lot of connections, know a lot of people. Sometimes with signing to a bigger label, bigger name, it's harder to get in position because they got so much on their plate. Have you experienced any of that? Or what has your experience been with signing with a big name?
Well, he actually had took like 2 years off. Like he was just behind the scenes making beats, so nobody just knew that. I was the first. When he came back on the scene, boom, I was the first person, he was like, man, I'm gonna go full-fledged with Wide Up. Right. So like a lot of like, we talk damn near every day. So like we got that, and he realized he cool. Like he just like, man, all right, Wide Up. He liked the music. He don't never say, he always talks to me new ideas for records. Like, hey, look, I got an idea for a record. Make the beat. I'm gonna send it to you. Cook on it. All right, cool. So, but I mean, it's been a learning experience. Like, that's somebody I sit in the room, he know way more than me. Right. There's certain stuff I might know I can do better, but I'd be like, all right, cool, let's do
it. So right now, man, you pushing Wait a Minute. Like I said, y'all a fucking banger. If y'all ain't checked it out yet, y'all gotta go check out that record. I see that shit getting big, man. What's next for you in terms of this record and future music?
The album come out next month.
Okay. What's the name of the album?
Shake Life Shout.
Okay.
So we supposed to be, I think the day we pushed was for the 26th of November, which is, Thanksgiving weekend, which is also my birthday weekend. So all that'll be going on. But I think we still said the 26th, if I ain't mistaken. Yeah, if I ain't mistaken, yeah. The 26th was the day we said we was gonna do it. So we getting everything together for that right now. Like the album done. Just tweaking certain records and getting them together.
And it's Shake Life Shawty. Where does that name come from?
Shake Life Shawty, I hear the nightlife, the strip clubs, they call it Shake Life.
Okay.
And I got my name because everybody like, damn, you got an Atlanta accent, because I be back and forth. So it's like sticking, even in my song. So I was finna do a mixtape for the strip club I was working for. Like, I'm finna do this mixtape, but I couldn't think of a name for it. So one of the dancers, she was like, why don't you call it Shake Life Shawty? And I was like, but that was just gonna be a name. It was my homeboy Cheryl. We did a song, and he was like, at the end of your verse, just say Shake Life Shawty. She just said, so it just stuck. So it's like, man, I'm using that name from now on. So
who do you hear right now that you see and you hear and you be like, yo, this is the next guy?
Man, it's a lot, man. Me being a DJ now, because now I got the ear,
Right.
And and it's just like, I be like, man, that song gonna go. Like you got, outside of me, outside of B King, you got Chose, you got Fast Lane, you got Maxo, you got King, you got Mona Leo, you got Libra, you got who else? It's a lot of people, man. Even on my side, my dog died with Quiet Money Family. You got, FMG Lace. You got Taz Realist, you got, it's a lot of artists I can name. Like everybody got their own sound though. Not none of them sound alike.
That's one thing I love about what I call the new Houston, man. The new Houston is not trying to sound like nobody, bro.
Yeah.
There was a point in time to where Houston had a very familiar sound in terms of man, I'm coming down, man, what? Most niggas, if you heard them freestyle, they don't even start with that.
In the 90s.
Yeah. But we've grown, man. We've evolved into this unique artistic type sound, bro, to where everybody just got their own lane and almost even their own genre of fucking hip hop, bro. And that shit is beautiful. Out of all of those new artists you name, man, who would you want to work with? Who would you want to get on the record with and just take off?
I mean, because I work with majority of them. I know the one person I know outside of the females. And I'm getting all that together, and I'm supposed to be. So I'm still trying to get a record with Ken. I done talked to Libra. We're supposed to be getting a record together. I haven't really just met Mona Leo, but we know the same people. So outside of that, like Big Stoney, like I got a record on the album with Big Stoney.
Fire.
And, so like
fire, bro.
People waiting on
star, man. I tell everybody who bring up Big Stoney in interviews, that's a fucking star. I know a star when I see one. Big Stoney gonna be big.
That's my dog. Like that's my day one. And the record we got, like I gave it to a couple of my DJ partners and playing. So like a lot of people been waiting on the record, and I think we probably gonna shoot the video for my birthday weekend. I think I gotta get on the call with Nitty and get all the information and stuff. But it's a lot, it's a lot of artists I want to work with. If I don't get a chance to work with them now, I'm gonna work with them soon.
Yo, man. So well, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up, man, because we hitting that 30-minute mark. But before we go, man, I definitely need you to go ahead and tell the people when the next time you're gonna be performing in Houston, when they can come out and see you and support Mr. Wide Up, man.
Man, look, we still taking shows. I haven't got anything because we've been busy getting this album together. But I'm at Onyx Houston on Mondays and Tuesdays in the mix. Fridays, I'm at D-Bar and Boulevard after hour. So like, we pull up. If I ain't in Texas, I'm in Atlanta all the time. So it's like, but when I'm here, I'm here. So like, pull up whenever. All the artists that you just want to come bring me your music, bring me music. Yeah, please. Like, that's how cool. Like break it. I play it. I want to hear it. I like listening to the music.
Right. Y'all hear it, man. He said just pull up. You from Houston, bring your music. You gonna play it, man. If you're an artist, that's a green motherfucking light, man. Especially you talk about Onyx, D-Bar. Come on, bro. I better pull the fuck up. Shake Life Shawty, man, dropping next month. Make sure y'all go out and cop that shit, man. Y'all support Mr. Wide Up, man, the fucking Houston vet, man. Some of y'all too young to know. This man was the nigga. When I was in college, man, we was turning up to that nigga shit every night, bro. So go out support, buy the new album, man, and let's keep this Houston culture, this Houston music growing and popping, man. Until next time, thank y'all so much for tuning in to 24 Hours on the Ground, man, and we will catch y'all the next time.